For me, this is really a dream come true. Take you clear back to Lackland when I was an instructor. I told my wife, even back then, and she could tell you, I said, boy, if I ever stayed in the Air Force, I think my dream would be to be the commander of a training base.
The commander of Keesler Air Force Base will observe 2 milestones next month. In May last year, Brad Spacy was promoted to Brigadier General and assumed command of his dream job.
General Spacy recently sat down with our Eric Reynolds to talk about how much he enjoys leading the 81st Training Wing and working with the 12,000 men and women at Keesler.
He also shares how, as a child, his dad started preparing him to be an officer and about a few of the assignments that turned a 4-year plan into a career. Here's the interview.
My father truly loved the Air Force. He lived it. He put it on like clothes and didn't ever take it off. I think my brother and I were both raised to be Air Force officers since we were very young. The lessons my father was teaching us every day are the ones that have played out in my career. And they're the importance of what we call the core values: integrity and service and excellence, a calling to serve your country.
Few individuals, through their personal acts of sacrifice.
Brigadier General Brad Spacy is the commander of Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi. He was born into an Air Force family. His father and older brother both became colonels and career officers. His brother also is an Air Force Academy graduate. Brad Spacy knew what service meant to his dad, but he had to decide for himself.
My father spent 30 years in the Air Force, so I grew up in it. My father really felt it was important to serve your country. He said everybody should do 4 years. And I thought about that a lot. And I finally decided, you know, he's right. I'm going to go in the Air Force and do 4 years and then get out. So I joined ROTC.
His father was a navigator on the tankers that fuel the Blackbird, the SR-71, a supersonic spy plane. But Brad Spacy became a security forces officer.
I love being in security forces. It's just really, it's a great mission, and it fit with me. You're day-to-day with airmen in the field, working side by side. It's that real close-knit, kind of like being on a big athletic team. You learn or don't learn leadership very early on, and you get a lot of experience at it. And you kind of learn what works and doesn't work earlier than a lot of people do.
Spacy even requested training with the Marine Corps at Quantico to become a more proficient leader.
As a security forces person, you do a lot of infantry work, and it's very similar to the small units things that the Marine Corps does. So I wanted to learn from them, and I did. I learned things at Quantico that I was doing in Iraq in 2004. We really pushed security forces outside the wire, more than had ever been done in the history of the Air Force anyway. And I think it really showed everybody what the Air Force was capable of. The airmen just really showed what they could do. The Air Force brings a lot of capability to defending the country.
On a 2-year tour at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, Spacy was an infantry school instructor. It was there he realized what teaching meant to him.
I love it. I mean, I love teaching. I found out that I was reasonably good at it, but I liked it a lot. I just really enjoyed going to work. And, you know, as an officer in the Air Force, you're teaching all the time. I could have made a career out of that. It is way harder than I thought it would ever be. I mean, it is a very difficult thing to do physically and mentally. You're marching, you're standing at attention for hours, and you can't move. You have to really control everything you would normally do in life for a long time. One day you'll be in Arlington National Cemetery, which is one of the most solemn places there is for a military person. It's very emotional, and you can't show that emotion, and you're being physically challenged daily.
Great assignments like commander of the Air Force Honor Guard pushed Spacy past his original plans of 4 years and out. He says around 13 years in, he was now focused on a career goal.
So I decided I was going to be staying in the Air Force. I really wanted to be a wing commander.
In 2008, then Colonel Spacy received orders to Ohio.
A wing commander up at Wright-Patterson in Ohio, so my career goal had been fulfilled. And I told my wife when we left there, I said, you know, this is as good as it gets. Whatever comes next is just, you know, is just gravy.
Washington is an important stop for career-minded officers. Spacy has served tours at the Pentagon and on Capitol Hill.
I got that job in the Senate, and that was just a fascinating job for me because I learned how Congress works and I got to be a part of a big process and work with some very senior leaders on it. It's a real busy time and very rewarding.
After 2 years on the Hill as the chief of the Air Force Senate Liaison Office, Spacy was promoted to Brigadier General and assigned to Keesler.
For me, this is really a dream come true. Take you clear back to Lackland when I was an instructor. I told my wife, even back then, and she could tell you, I said, boy, if I ever stayed in the Air Force, I think my dream would be to be the commander of a training base, because the mission is just so real, so there's so many airmen involved. So I love every aspect of my job. I love the training mission, I love working with airmen, and I love every minute of it.
In Biloxi, Eric Reynolds, Fox 10 News.
General Spacy says he's energized by the young men and women in today's Air Force. He says they're excited about serving their country and their jobs. The all-volunteer force, he says, is also very smart and capable.
General Spacy is not sure how long his dream job at Keesler will last since someone else makes that decision, but he says he will enjoy every single day of it and will stay there in the Air Force as long as possible.